at our workplaces and in our lives in general, we end up receiving unwanted or unsolicited advice. The moot point is, how do we manage or deal with this unwanted advice? My thought goes to a story which I heard several years ago. I'm sure many of you would have also heard about the story. Nevertheless, telling the story for the benefit of those of you who have not heard it earlier. This story is set in a village many years ago, and it revolves around an elderly couple, a washerman and a washerwoman. They were old and had no children. Their source of income was collecting clothes from their fellow villagers, taking it to their home where they had a cleaning area, washing and cleaning the clothes, and delivering it back to their fellow villagers. To support them in the process, they had a donkey on whose back the clothes were kept during pickup and drop. Now, over a period of time, the donkey got old and passed away, so it became necessary for the elderly couple to purchase a new donkey to support them in terms of their tasks. So they went to the weekly market where livestock and cattle were traded and purchased a new donkey. They were on their way back home. The elderly couple were walking as well as the donkey, and they were slowly trudging across the road while a couple of people were walking from the opposite side. So they saw the elderly couple and the donkey walking, and they exclaimed, "What a pity! These two people or this couple don't even know how to utilize a donkey. One of them should have been sitting on the donkey. It's common sense." So on hearing what the bypassers mentioned, the elderly gentleman told his wife to sit on the donkey, and she sat on the donkey and they kept walking. That is, the donkey and the gentleman and the lady seated on the donkey. So as they were going along, another group of people were walking from the other side, and they saw the lady sitting on the donkey and the man walking. So they mentioned, "What a pity, and what a non-compassionate, or possibly a lady who doesn't care for her husband. She's comfortably sitting on the donkey, whereas her husband is walking, and that is not fair to him." So on hearing this, the lady got down and asked her husband to sit on the donkey. Now, the husband sat on the donkey, and the process of continuing to their residence or home started once again. Now, another group of people saw the man seated on the donkey, and these people mentioned that how unfair or how uncompassionate this person is. He is comfortably sitting on the donkey, whereas he's making his wife to walk. So that's extremely unfair. Now the man, on hearing this, got down, and the husband and the wife, understanding what these people mentioned, they both decided to sit on top of the donkey. So both of them sat on the donkey, and I'm sure it would have been really difficult for the donkey, considering that the donkey had to bear the weight of the elderly couple, and the donkey started walking with the elderly couple seated on the donkey. So now, as the donkey was walking, another group of people saw the donkey carrying, or with these elderly people sitting on the donkey, and they said, "So insensitive people these are. Both of them are seated on this poor donkey. They don't even think that their weight can possibly kill this poor donkey." And the elderly couple heard about this, and they were definitely sad, and they got down. And this was a scenario where they had been through various points in terms of permutations and combinations. So one of them had individually sat on the donkey. They all were walking without sitting on the donkey. And finally, both of them were sitting on the donkey. And in every given situation, people had some advice or some thought. So the end of the story is, at the end, the couple decided to carry the donkey on their shoulders and walk on. And even then, people made certain comments or gave certain advice which were unsolicited. So the point is, regardless of whatever we do, many a times we get advice or inputs from people around us. We may do good or we may do not so good. Nevertheless, the advice, suggestions and inputs would always be there. So that's where we need to understand what is the advice that we need to take and what we don't need to take. So like this elderly couple, if we go on to take all the advice or whatever people tell us or whatever people are speaking about us, then definitely it will be a difficult situation for us only. It possibly doesn't impact those people speaking about us. It's only going to impact us. So my suggestion is, whenever people are providing advice to you, kindly use your logic and understanding to filter as to the advice that you're getting. Is it actually relevant to you? At times, people around us are really concerned and care for us and are mentioning advice or inputs out of concern or care. Nevertheless, we need to still think about the advice, and only once we are convinced that it's going to be good for us, we need to implement or we need to accept it. Also, there are a lot of people, just like in this particular story, who just at the drop of a hat give advice which is unwanted. So we also need to be wary of such people and such advice. And the most vital aspect in this is basically utilizing our common sense, analyzing whether the feedback that you are getting from people or the advice that we are getting from individuals, some of whom may be really concerned about us and maybe are well-wishers, whereas some of them possibly are just giving advice for the sake of it, whether the advice or the inputs that they are conveying to us, would it be relevant and would it impact us? That's one question that we need to ask ourselves. And in case it passes through the filter and we are convinced that by implementing it, we would have a positive impact, only then should we go ahead. So please utilize your common sense, logic and reasoning power to filter out advice and kindly stay away from unsolicited or unwanted advice. Thank you very much for your time.